Hello and welcome to the Long Island weather update as we await this storm. We had sunshine today with a few clouds, not too many. Show you what it looked like out there. Beautiful blue skies. Did get to see some pines today for a little bit, just for a little bit. In the afternoon, it was very nice and sunny, and we won't be seeing any of these nice sunshine at all this weekend, unfortunately, as we get to deal with the storm and clouds and more rain. So as you see, you got a bunch of hazards on the map. Coastal flood advisory for Long Island. Then just along the I-95 corridor, you've got a winter weather advisory. And then north of that, you've got the winter storm warnings. And in fact, that's in the pink right there. Let's go to the latest on the briefing for the storm from the Weather Service. Pretty much similar. Nothing really much has changed since yesterday. But it's just everything's just been clarified pretty much. And the rain snow line challenge is going to be in this area right here that they have in the circle there. So right now you can see it's 34 in Central Park, so we are above freezing right now. Let's take a look at what our satellite looked like. You can see the clouds streaming in right now. We got some high clouds streaming in, but for much of the day we did have sunshine with just a few patchy clouds. However, I do want to point something out. Let me point that out. We'll go to the we can go to the seaside. We should go to the Coney Island. That's fine. I want to point something out. There's a big fire in Elizabeth. It may still be burning right now, but you could actually see the smoke let's see if you can see it now here. Can't see it now, but in the morning it was quite noticeable. You could see this here. Look at that. That is all the smoke from that, and that could be seen for miles this morning. And the fire is still burning as we speak, so a little later on you can see, all right, it's not as bad then, but in the morning it was pretty bad, and you could see there, look at all that smoke there. And not only could you see it from Coney Island, but you could also see it from Seaside Heights as well. In New Jersey, you can see it from there as well. So if we go to the morning, and I was wondering what this strange cloud was on the horizon. I'm like, that's weird. What is that cloud there that we're seeing? And that actually smoke from this fire that's been burning in Elizabeth. The smoke's been, basically visible for miles. Really crazy stuff that you could see it that far away. That's just a huge plume of the smoke there. You could see later on in the day, it looked, still could see it there. There it is, right there. So parts of New Jersey, I guess, might have been dealing with it. It looks like it had been drifting pretty much straight south over the ocean. Though again, parts of New Jersey could be dealing with that, smelling that, maybe even on Staten Island. But if we do go to Elizabeth here, Elizabeth, New Jersey, you'll see they've had this large industrial fire here. That's sent smoke as far as Staten Island. So, a 4-alarm fire. It's actually this Singer sewing factory. It's really another huge fire. This year is just getting off to a pretty bad start everywhere. Let's take a look at what we got going on right now. And again, you can see those winter storm warnings. That's where they're going to get the snow. You can see we're not in it at all. Not even close. Let's go to the observations right now across the area, and you'll see going into our area right now. West Hampton has radiated away. All we have is high clouds, so not surprising that West Hampton is down to 19 degrees there. So let's take a look at Islip. It's 30 degrees there. Dew point's still in the teens, so that's why we're going to see that radiation of cooling tonight. And looking at what the day was like at Islip, you'll see generally in the 30s today, upper 30s, mid to upper 30s around there. So winds were northwest, then they're becoming a little more westerly and west-southwesterly later on in the day. We'll have to see now. Elizabeth is over here, so the smoke was kind of drifting out this way, but now we have a west-southwest wind, so I'm wondering if we're going to start smelling that if they don't get that fire out soon. So, I'm not going to talk too much about that because we're going to talk a little more about the storm, obviously. So let's look at our highs across the area today. Highs upper 30s, generally upper 30s pretty much everywhere across the area, which is right around average for this time of the year. West Hampton, their coldest temperature is right now at 19 degrees. Otherwise, we had mid-20s last night. Um, it looks like they got a little radiational cooling there in Jersey as well. I see in their Pine Barrens it's around 21 degrees as well. So let's go and look at the radar first of all. Actually, let's go back to the satellite image so we can take a look at this storm here. It's coming. So there's the storm right there. You see it right there. You can see, yeah, there's that moisture feed again that you see there. And this is going to be a wet storm, but I think it's not really going to be too white for us, unfortunately. So let's go to the radar now. I'll show you what this all looks like on radar. You can see right now mostly rains for much of the country, but you can see in St. Louis, Missouri, and as well as Kansas City, you got a little bit of snow over there. Looking at the weather map, you'll see here's the storm. It's mainly in the Gulf. It's a southern stream system, but it's going to be eventually combining to a stronger low as it moves to our east. So let's get to it. Let's get to the models now. And before I get to the models, let's look at our statistics for the day. So islip had a high at 37. Normal high is 40. So we're 3 degrees below normal on the high. The low of 25 is 1 degree below normal, and the average of 31 was 2 degrees below normal. So slightly below normal at islip. Central Park also slightly below normal as well. Nothing groundbreaking there. So let's go to the models now and close this out. And let's talk about the storm that we have. So this is the GFS at 18Z. And we're going to show it to you here again on the wide view first, and then we'll go a little closer. Nothing really much has changed, but it does look, unfortunately, a little less likely that we're going to see that back-end snow that a lot of the models are showing again. Like, don't get your hopes up with that. So here's the closer look at the 18Z GFS, which we'll start with first. Obviously, the clouds increase tomorrow, and the rain moves in the evening, and it could wind up raining heavy even as early as 8 or 9 o'clock. And you can see it looks like it's got mostly rain for us because there's just too much warm air. You got ocean temperatures that are still in the mid to upper 40s. If we do pull the weather hazards back up, which I should have done here. I shouldn't have closed this so quickly. Let's see if we can get some buoy observations here. We also have a gale warning actually in effect for the offshore waters. So your water temperature is 48 degrees. That's kind of warm for this time of the year. It really is. Let's look at this one here. No, that's not the one I want. There's usually one over here, but whatever reason, it's missing again. Let's see. There's one off the Jersey shore. Got a water temperature of 49 there. 49? Really? That's really warm. It's way above what it's supposed to be. So we'll take another one over here. This buoy also reporting 49 degrees. So I don't see any way we're going to see much snow here with these water temperatures and this marginally cold air. What we will get is plenty of rain, and that's going to linger into Sunday morning, and then maybe a little bit of mix of rain and snow toward the back end Sunday afternoon before it tapers off. So, it's looking rather unlikely, and this is all because, again, of that wind flow that we have. So, and that's the issue that we have. So if we look at the GFS, which we'll start here, and look at the wind flow and the dew points in wind flow, you'll see that easterly wind there. That's not going to support snow. And honestly, I don't think Central Park gets any. It won't. They're probably not going to get over an inch either. So I think that the record's still going to stand after all is said and done, even in Central Park. You're going to have to go north of the I-95 corridor to get snow out of this thing. And then maybe a little bit on the back end, but even here, look at the dew points. They're still above freezing, even on the back end of this storm here on the GFS. So I'm not too encouraged. Looking at your temperatures on the GFS, we'll go into the GFS first, and then I'll go over some of the shorter range models. Tomorrow, we'll probably be in the mid to upper 30s. You can see it's already 42 on the Jersey Shore. Forget it. You're not going to get snow there. You can see all the warm air, and you can see that below freezing is north and west of the I-95 corridor. So, I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. And even Sunday, the temperatures are marginal for snow. So, we'll go ahead and look at the total accumulated precip on here, and just the total accumulated precip on the GFS here. I'm not going to run the snowfall on this yet, but you can see here, we're going to see around an inch to an inch and a half of rain out of this, and then where the snow falls, it's showing maybe it could be some heavy snow. Maybe some of the areas in the mountains could get a foot. However, this is the total snowfall. We could do total positive snow depth change. You can see it may not be a foot because it's going to be a wet snow. It's going to be very, it's going to be that wet snow kind of stuff because it doesn't seem like we get powdery snow anymore. But we're not even going to get that here. We're not going to get. I don't think we're going to see anything here. I don't think we're going to see anything. So let's take a look at the FGen, which is the other thing that we want to look at as well on here. 700. All right, so let's go to this, and you'll see when that heavy precipitation comes in, it's going to be right around that 8, 9 o'clock hour. You can see that. It gets heavier as it moves east. You can see that, all right? So let's go to, being that we're looking at the FGen, we'll continue with that. Let's go to the NAM 12. Here is the NAM 12 FGen. Let's see if there's any differences here with this. And you can see, look at all that. Man, that is really heavy precipitation. That's going to be rain where that is, all right? And that's going to move in. This is 8 o'clock, and it looks like it's going to move in a little. This is 9 o'clock. Actually, this is 7 o'clock. My mistake. This is 8 o'clock here. 9 o'clock is when you're really going to start seeing 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, some heavy, heavy rain. And then where it is snowing, could be a nice little burst of snow there. But still, that's going to bring in some heavy, heavy rain right there. All right. So looking at the NAM, we'll start with the NAM first of all. And we're going to look at this. Here's the NAM. And I really don't want to spend too much time with the GFS because we now have the short-range models to work with. So this is the NAM here. And even the NAM agrees. See, it doesn't really start the rain. Actually, it doesn't start it until maybe 6 o'clock. And then as we get toward 9 o'clock, that's when it's going to get heavy. And when it comes down heavy, maybe some areas in the North Shore might briefly change over to snow. Maybe some parts of the city will. But I doubt it with those east winds. I really do. It's not until the storm moves a little bit further to the east later on Sunday that it might end as a little bit of snow. And that would be our best chance to get some snow out of this. But this is the NAM, and it always has a little bit of a snowy bias. I keep that in mind. I'm not too encouraged. Maybe we can work something out that some areas might get some accumulating snow on the back end. But, I have my doubts. And then it moves away as we get toward Monday. All right, so looking at the NAM as far as the total accumulated precip on this NAM model, again, there's an agreement in that 1 to 1.5 inch rainfall. Snowfall, total snowfall, you can see it's got us in less than an inch. All right, and then maybe the city maybe gets an inch, maybe, if the NAM was correct. And you got to remember, these don't really take into account all these other things that go on. Again, we can total positive snow depth change. You can see it looks a lot less encouraging when we do that, because just because it's snowing doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stick if the temperature is above freezing. And that's the problem. It has to really snow very hard for that to happen. And the problem is that the heaviest precipitation is going to occur when we have the east winds, which is going to be mainly in the form of rain for the coast. I'm not really talking much about inland in this. I'm talking about the coast. I cover Long Island mainly. So I'm not going to, I'm not even going to put a snowfall total map up because I just don't see Long Island getting much of anything. North and west, they'll get snowfall accumulation, but I'm not going to bother putting a map up for the Hudson Valley or any of those other areas. So, but yeah, if you're further north you go, but I think you may have to go further north, even further north. And let's say you're in southern Westchester, I still don't think you're going to get that much. If you really, as far as the snow that you can shovel, you're going to have to be north of the Tappan Zee, I think, to get anything. And I'm calling it the Tappan Zee, all right? So, at least that's what I think. That's what it looks like right now. So let's go and look at the next one, which is the HRRR. I have the 0ZHRRR to work with here. All right, so we're going to start with the HRRR here. And again, you'll see here we are. And again, the HRRR starts at maybe a tad early, maybe lower at 4 or 5 o'clock. Light rain, but it has it mostly rain. Heavy, but if you're in northern New Jersey, perhaps you could see some heavier snow there. But for Long Island, New York City, at least Central Park, maybe the Bronx might see overaccumulation. But you'll see here that with that heavy rain starts moving in around 7, 8 o'clock on this model, you could see. And look at that. There's a really heavy area of precipitation right around 10 or 11 o'clock, around where that low is. And that could be some heavy rain. And maybe if it comes down heavy enough, it could be rain or even sleet, ice pellets perhaps. I do see some purple there as well, which could be ice pellets. It's just going to be a nasty night tomorrow on Long Island. It's another crappy, wet, very cold, wet, windy, miserable later part of your Saturday. And then for Sunday, you can see there's a little bit of wraparound, but not a lot of moisture to work with. The low is not strong enough to really cause too much of that moisture to wrap around, and that's why I'm not really too encouraged. Especially if you're looking at this HRRR here. I'm not really encouraged that we're going to see anything here. All right, so let's look at the dew points and wind flow, and we'll talk about that. So dew points and wind flow, you can see going into tonight, the air stays relatively dry, but then the layers moisten up. We have that east wind tomorrow night. You see, that's the problem, is that east wind. With water temperatures upper 40s, which is above normal, there's no way with an east wind you're going to have snow on Long Island or even New York City. You have to be way inland. It's not until we get toward that back end of the storm that maybe there's a chance, but I still don't see it. There's so much warmth wrapped around this storm, and you're working with this is not really a quality cold air mass that we're working with. The cold air mass that we had for today mostly went over New England. We didn't get into it, and so that's the issue. And then as we go into Sunday, you see the west winds take over. You'll notice all the isobars. So the wind will be an issue with this storm as well. So that's hence the coastal issue. So let's go look at the temperatures here. And the temperatures obviously tomorrow will be in the mid to upper 30s. Could be rising to 40 perhaps as the center of that low goes by. And who knows, the Jersey Shore might even briefly touch 50. You can see that there, that warm sector there, which is going to be pretty potent. And then you can see the temperatures don't really drop below freezing at all. And that's the problem that we have. Again, we have too much warm air. We have oceans that are very warm, and that's the big problem. So let's go to the total accumulated precip on the HRRR here. And you can see there is an actual area that could see close to 2 inches. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see some 2-inch rainfall amounts over parts of Long Island and maybe the Jersey Shore, wherever that heavy cell sets up there. There could be, I couldn't even rule out the possibility we might even see a thunderstorm out of this. All right, especially when we were looking at that FGen. There's some pretty impressive FGen there. All right, so let's go to the 850 heightened wind. So we're going to shift over to the wind now, which is the other concern here that we're going to have with this storm. So you can see where the stronger winds are right there toward the eastern part of the island. I think that the coastal areas are going to be more likely subject to the higher winds with this storm here. All right. Let's now go to let's use this. This is a Cape thing. So we're just going to see if there's any Cape. No, there isn't any. I don't think there'll be any severe weather, but again, that's a pretty wrapped up low right there that you have. It's going to wrap up, but it's just doing it in the wrong place. You can see the low is like just pretty much off the south shore of Long Island. It's way too close. That's the problem. The low is way too close. So we're going to move this over to the NAM here. NAM's a little further south with the low, but still, it's 240. You need 4070. 4070 is over here. So it's north. It's too close. It's too close. Now, like I said, if you're in Massachusetts, you'll get something, but I just don't see it. So let me go back to the HRRR now, 0Z run, and we're going to look at the total snowfall map that this is putting out. And again, I think you're going to see the same thing here. Yeah, it's mainly all inland. And because if you're in the mountains, if you want to go up to like Minnewaska or something like that, you could get a foot of snow. But for any decent shovelable snow, I think it's going to be north and west. You could see here, it's got a little bit like point oh 0.01. I just don't see it with all that. I don't see we're going to get anything here. I don't think we're going to get anything right now with that warm water. I just don't see it happening. Which is why I'm not drawing a map, because I don't think all the accumulation is going to be to the northwest of the Long Island area, and even New York City. So it's all going to be inland. If Long Island was involved, I'd put some accumulations, but I just don't think we're going to see any on Long Island. The low is just too close to us, unfortunately. It really, really is. So let me go over the NAM 3, which is the next one we can use. Now, the NAM 3 obviously is showing some, I think this is overdone, but let's go and look at the NAM 3. So here's the NAM 3 reflectivity. All right, so again, there you go. It's got the rain starting, and it's got like a little bit of blue on the North Shore. I'm just not buying that. Look at where the low is. There's no way, not even on the North Shore, you're going to get snow. Maybe to start a little bit, but I just don't see it. I don't see it with that wind from the east. I don't see it. And you can see that low there, and you can see the heavy rain that's going to come in. So you're going to have a heavy rain for your Saturday night. It's going to be a real wet, miserable night. And then on the back edge, that's where we could see something. So again, the NAM looking better than the other models, but it is the NAM, and I don't see models agreeing, and I just I just don't think we're going to see much of anything on that back end, unless this storm develops a little more and it gets in the right spot. But you see, it's not in the right spot. Here's 4070 right here. It's too north of it. It's north and west of that benchmark. So that's the problem. It's very hard, and you're dealing with all this warm water that the models just can't figure out. So it looks like it's going to be a soaker for us, unfortunately, another soaker. And if we'll look at the total accumulated precip on this as well for rainfalls of the higher resolution NAM. But you'll see it's going to be, I think it's going to be more like 1.5 to 2 inches. I think it's going to be a big soaker. You have all that warm water that the models aren't accounting for. That's what I'm thinking right now. So once we get past this soaker, we'll just talk a little bit about next week. So let's do that. We'll go to Eastern U.S. and we'll go back to the GFS here. And we will back to this. So once the storm pulls out, we have fair weather for Monday, but then look at what happens here. Another soaker Tuesday night. This soaker could be pretty bad. I'm going to get into this more on Sunday night. We'll talk about it. But you'll see here, this could be a really bad, another big soaker, and then that leaves, and then boom, here comes another one, just in time for Saturday again. So 2 Saturdays in a row are going to be sucking, unfortunately. And then that's done, and then look at that. One more before we finally start getting into the colder air here. So we've got a lot of rain to come. And, if I'm going to show you the total accumulated precip on this. So you can see, look at all the rain in the east. I mean, this is insane. Some areas might even see a foot of rain out of this, especially in the southeast. For us, we're still going to see a lot. So the soaking continues. We're going to have to deal with more pain before we get to the good cold air, unfortunately. And like I said, I'll talk more about that on Sunday. But you'll see here, we could see as much as 5 to 6 inches of rain between now and mid-January. So we could be on track to have one of our wettest Januaries on record if this does all verify, of course. But I don't really want to talk too much about the long range. Let me go back to the GFS again, and we're going to take a look at the radar presentation, all right, of this storm. So this is the radar presentation of the GFS, all right, for this storm here. So here you go, and again, you can see there that heavy rain that's going to occur right around 7 or 8 o'clock. You see Long Island solidly in the yellow, but north and west of that line, you could have some heavy snow. So if you're in Rockland, I think Rockland County might have a good bet of getting, again, over 6 inches. But anything south of that, maybe parts of Westchester could see, 3 inches, but, I don't see the real, any Long Island getting much of anything from this. All right, I really don't. Once the storm gets out of here, we do clear it out. So you'll see here that we do clear it out for Monday. We'll have sunshine again on Monday. I'm not really going to talk too much about that. I think we've been through so many of the models already. We can go to the RGM too. Well, one more. One more wouldn't hurt. We actually have the zeros the RGM in, so we can look at that. So obviously not going to see the sun much this weekend, but by Monday we should clear it on out. Let's go to the RGM now and look at how the RGM handles this storm. And I have to go back to the 18Z for that. So here's the RGM. And, you pretty much have that agreement there. And you can see there that you have that agreement. The heavier snow is going to be Massachusetts. If you're in Boston, you're going to probably do pretty well with this storm. But unfortunately for us, it's just not going to be very encouraging for us, unfortunately. Not much snow for us. It's all going to basically, this is a snowstorm for the north and west, and a decent amount north and west of us. It's not like it's going to get a ton of snow even just over the sound. You're going to have to go, like I said, you're going to have to go to the Tappan Zee and north of the Tappan Zee to really get into those heavier snows. Now, if you're in Jersey, Sussex County, some of those areas there could probably get, like High Point State Park could probably get a good amount of snow there, probably like 6 to 10 inches or something. But for our area, Long Island, I just don't see much from this storm. So that's going to wrap it up here. Get ready for another soaker of a Saturday once again. Have a good night.